And for more perspective on this first anniversary of Russia's war in Ukraine, VOA Russian service reporter Ksenia Turkova joins me live from via Skype from Washington. Hello, Ksenia.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Give us the perspective of Russians. What have they been saying over the past year about this war?
So the attitude of Russian people towards war is different, and we can't generalize and say, that all people support the war in Russia. And we can't really trust the polls in terms of authoritarian regime because people are just afraid to talk. The group of sociologists I talked to, both American and Russian, issued a big research several months ago, and they came to the conclusion that while talking about people's attitude towards war, we can divide them into three groups. The aggressive supporters of the war, so-called turbo patriots. On the opposite side, we have those people who are against war and they express their position, which is dangerous in Russia. But the biggest group includes people who are just passive. They say that they don't want to be involved into politics. They just live their lives, and they don't want to have anything to do with the war. And they think that they can avoid the consequences of what is going on. What is interesting, the same group of sociologists made a second research at the end of the first year of the war, and they figured out that people's opinions almost hasn't changed. So it stays the same now.
Now, Ksenia, what about you guys? How has VOA Russian service covered this conflict since it began?
Well, of course, we have been covering it almost 24/7, especially first month, and it was a very, very difficult month for us. For us, it was very important, and I want to focus on that, to deliver the news about Ukraine to our Russian audience. In terms of all the restrictions they have now, in terms of the new laws, when they can send you to prison for 15 years just for calling war, it was crucial for us to make any possible effort to make sure people have another source of information. So we used all our platforms to do that, especially Telegram channels, for example, because this social media is almost the only one that is not restricted in Russia. Also, we launched a daily audio podcast where we summarize every day, we summarize the news of the day so people can have a picture of the day. And we also posted the reminders of how to get the information, how to get the access to the information, how to use VPN and other services. I would say that that was our focus, to find a way to deliver news and to tell the true stories about Ukraine.
How about the propaganda that was going on in Russia? How was it used to fuel the conflict from a Russian perspective?
The role of Russian propaganda as fuel of the war, you're right that it was a fuel of the war, has been huge. The Russian state TV channels and other state media created, I would say, a new reality. I call it, an upside-down reality, like in Stranger Things TV show. And it's an upside-down reality where they say that, for example, they use high-precision strikes, that they do not do any harm to the civilians, which we know is not true, where they say that Ukrainian people are bombing themselves, where they say that there was no Bucha massacre and it was all staged. They even created a whole language to describe that alternative reality. And I am not only a journalist, I'm also a linguist,
right.
And I research that language of propaganda as well. So they say they use a lot of euphemisms. They say, for example, special operation instead of war. They say liberation instead of occupation when they occupy the Ukrainian cities.